Okay, my friends, another shocker du jour. Up here in the microscope, we are looking at one of my mud fossils, and it's a mud fossil lung, which I will show you in detail. This is from the Curiosity rover, and it is basically the same as what I have in the microscope. Now, they drove over this and crashed through it and found sulfur inside. Now, I don't know if I'm going to find that in mine or not, but I am going to crash through it, and we're going to take a look. Now, I'm going to come up closer, but what I want you to see is all of this stuff over here. You see all this? That's mud runoff from this body, which was a lung. And these are the alveoli of the lung, all of these holes. And it's all over. It's not just there. It's over here. There's more of them up here. There's more of them over here. They're everywhere. And those are all the holes in the lung. Down here, there's a whole batch more of them. And I think there's some pretty substantial red blood in this. Now, will there be sulfur? There might be. I don't know. But the one down at the bottom, they claim that they broke through it and found sulfur, and I'll show you those pictures. I've got some more evidence on this. Okay, so this is the rock formation up on Mars. They drove over it with a rover, and it crashed through. Now here's my rock here, which I claim is a lung, and you can see, if you got mud fossil eyes, you know right away. You can see all these little holes in there. That's the porosity of the lung. These are the alveoli and so forth. Those are the colors of flesh. I'm going to put a little water on it, and you'll see it's going to tweak right up. All right, I'm going to mess around here. Just keep your eye on here. See the color change? You see some of them are black, some of them are red. That's the different colors of blood. This one's got a lot of red in it. This one's got a lot of black in it. And it's all over the ballpark, the different colors. And then this is the fabric, basically, of the lung, and that's where all the alveoli go. And all of those these are all different blood colors, basically. Now, this one down below here is the same sort of situation, only it's been ionized from being exposed to high energy radiation because there's no cloud cover on Mars. So it's down to its really base construction here. And then, of course, all this dusty stuff filled in all the holes. Otherwise, it'd be identical to what you see in this one over here, which was the one in the microscope. Hold on, let me turn on the lights. All right, and that's what we saw in the microscope. Now, you can see there is virtually no difference. Now, you see that muddy stuff there? That's the flesh of the body of this creature. And these are the lung lobes of the lung, and this is one whole lung. Now the back of it is still got some bones. You see the little bone bits? You see those? So this guy died laying like that, and then after it sort of solidified, the water ran off of here, and this is just nothing more than like mud that ran off, because that's what your body turned to in these boiling conditions. They turned to mud. They just turned to mud, and that's what created the red bed. Now, I showed you this in the microscope, and it has this colors of blood and body tissue. Now, again, if this was irradiated for couple thousand years, it would turn like that. That's just ionization. So just get over that. It's the same thing. There is no difference here. Now, I wonder if I find sulfur in there, because once they crack through, they found sulfur. Would ionization causes things to change? This is well, sulfur bumps up from in the silicate area. Well, actually, phosphorus. That's what's going on here. They found sulfur, and the phosphorus is the membrane layers, and the phosphorus bumped up to the sulfur, and that's what happens because it's a bump up decay from ionization, or enzymes. Either one of those will do the same. They can bump up. It doesn't have to decay downwards. It's called daughter decay. I'll show you in a second. So you have phosphorus membranes, the phospholipid membranes. Everything has a membrane. That's what's on there. And it decayed upwards to go into sulfur, pure sulfur, they said. Can I show that in the... Yes, I can. Let me describe that in a chemistry. This is unbelievably too cool. This DNA tested CAT scanned human lung has the spurlock right here. You see what you got down here? The exact same thing. That's the spurlock. I'm going to show you a better shot of it. These two are virtually identical. You see the crack up here and the crack up here, and it's coming down here. This is coming down here. Same thing. The rounded shape here, the rounded shape here. This would have decayed into this, which shows the lung. Well, this is the back. All right, but it has the lungs here. All right, so that's basically the other side of this. All right, the spurlock is over here, the spurlock is over here. In other words, this is a left lung, and that's a right hand lung of it could be a human. But the spurlock is facing out this way, you see the little tab, and the spurlock is facing this way, you see the tab. That holds them in your body so they can jiggle around and they won't rip out. But if I took all of this pleura off, which is that coating, you would get down here into where you have all your alveoli, which is all the little holes in your lung. And that goes, your lung is like here. This is just nothing but holes. And, you know, fabric and holes, and all the air goes through there. This is where the main tubing would have come down, right through this area here, when it was in the body. And then the backbone runs down here, and here's where you got some little bits and pieces of bone still left. See up here, that's bone, that's bone. There's a bunch of little bitty pieces of bone all over the place back here. See, that's bone. You can see all that. So that's what happened. He died laying like this, and then after it eroded and eroded, all of the mud, just sort of the fleshy stuff, turned into just like mud. This one was in a different situation. That's all. That's all. It is what it is. I've got stuff nobody has. Now, we're talking about phosphorus. Like I said, this will decay. So, in other words, the lungs have a very heavy, dense coating of membrane. So, this dense coating of membrane is phosphorus. If it was irradiated long enough, which it has been, all of the half-lives go away and you turn into some kind of a stonish material. So you could see the different layers of decomposition. And it happens, I've got other ones that are 100% quartz. Now, let's talk about the phosphorus. Okay, so my claim is, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, this is nothing more than a lung that had from some creature up there that they're driving over, and they cracked through this surface and they crunched this up, and then they found this yellow looking sulfur in there. See, Curiosity cracked open a rock on Mars and found a huge surprise. They had no explanation for that. Now, I say phosphorus will decay up to sulfur if it's being irradiated. Let me show you why I make that statement. All right. I term this atomic bump, which means you can bump up from phosphorus to sulfur. So you're starting with phosphorus. And then when you ionize the phosphorus, it can go either way. It can go down or it can go up. Normally they say decay. You think of decay means it going down, and it's not necessarily the case. It strongly goes up in the case of phosphorus. Now let me show you the isotopes. And an isotope only means that, here's the deal. This is phosphorus. And there's only one number of particles that make a stable phosphorus. Almost every other one's you can have a couple missing, a couple, 2 or 3 extra, 2 or 3 missing, and it's still pretty stable. Not with phosphorus. Here's the isotopes. Now, an isotope only means you have a couple of extra or not enough. When you're down this end of the isotopes, you don't have enough particles, so you're missing a bunch of these. So now you have a half-life. All right, so here's the particle. They're all 26, or I'm sorry, 15, they say, is the number of protons. That's not right either. So, and then they throw extra neutrons in to make up the weight change, because it changes weight as it gets closer and closer to stability. So here you go here with that, you're way down here, and it's got a half-life of so many milliseconds. They're very, very fast. Phosphorus, instantaneous decay. However, they can exist in all these states. They know that. Now, what would happen if this decayed? Well, the decay mode is beta, and it ends up being silicon, aluminum, magnesium, something like that. Silicon, aluminum, magnesium, you see it? So the phosphorus goes down. Silicon, aluminum, magnesium, it's decaying downwards. However, once you hit stability and above, it decays upwards. Watch this. So here we come closer and closer to stable. This is the only one that's stable, is at this exact weight. Then it becomes stable. There's no decay mode. So it's stable. You can't make it go down or up. However, once you go above stable and you're at the stable mode and you got a couple of extra electrons, now when it decays, it goes up to sulfur. You see this? This is the decay mode, daughter isotope, and here's the type of decay, beta, and up to sulfur. All the way. All of these are isotopes, and every one of them goes up to sulfur. That's why they found raw sulfur when they smashed through the phospholipid layer of the membrane. Now, will we find sulfur under there? We didn't get irradiated, so I doubt it, but maybe, who knows? I really strongly doubt it, because there was no radiation. This here is here on Earth. Why do I say there's no radiation? First of all, it was probably buried for a very long time, so it wasn't exposed. Secondly, the radiation on Earth is, is nothing like it is on Mars, because there's nothing to block the heavy particles coming in, the real, the upper end particles. All right, we've got an atmosphere. And that atmosphere and all those molecules and particles in the atmosphere and dust and everything else stops the big nasty stuff from hitting us. By the time it gets down to us, we're down, you got some UV and infrared and maybe a little taste of X-ray, who knows. But mostly it's down in this area here. So anyway, there's a lot to learn here, but I think if we break this open, I doubt we're going to find sulfur, but I do not know. So we're going to find out. Okay, let's take one more look at this before I smash open the rock. This is the one on Mars. And it almost looks like it's buffed. But I guess there's a lot of wind erosion from these very, very fine particles, because it's extremely dry, never gets wet, and I think that's what's happened here, because it's partially from isotopes being, from ions hitting it and not having anything to stop those heavy-duty particles from whacking into it and basically irradiating it. However, the structure remains. And the one I have here in a microscope is the same. It's, just look at this very carefully, and then look at the one I have in a microscope. I'm going to go up right now, and then I'm going to turn the lights up a little higher. I start nice and low, because you can see different details in different intensities of light. All right? And it has to do with the frequencies and what will be. Anyway, trust me. Now, I am going to turn up the light, and it is the same structure. And if all you could see was white here, it would basically be the same as what we're looking at down below. All right, now, although it's never been irradiated, so it's still got a lot of color in it. And when I put the water on it, it really makes color. Now, up on Mars, you don't have the option to put water on it because there is no water. But you can see this is all the fabric of a lung. Now, I'm going to break in and we'll see what happens. Before I do, let me just show you what happened to them when they drove over this, crunched down, because there's nothing but holes in here. You see it, there's nothing but holes. They're everywhere. There's just nothing but holes. And they go down, way down inside. You see, they're just everywhere. And the whole thing is like just big one, like a hornet's nest down in there. Beehive or something. There's just nothing but holes in there. So they drive over, crush it down. So let's drive and crush. This is just outrageous. These are the tire tracks. I think it weighs like 1,200 pounds or something. And they're just rolling over the top of like this mud stuff. And they catch on the edge of one of these like this. So they're rolling across there, and the tire hits that and crunches it down. So we're going to go and take one of these and crunch it down. But see this? This is nothing more than this right here. Only it's not, this one here is really hard. Up there it looks like it was pretty soft. They were just sort of rolling through it. But this is the same as this. To me, this is a fait accompli. All right, there is no doubt in my mind whatsoever that we're dealing with the same thing. Now, on Earth, as it is in heaven, I don't know. Is there any sulfur in there? What would you bet? Who would bet? Who wants to bet? I don't know what I would bet, to be perfectly honest with you, but I don't think there's going to be sulfur in there because it's not been irradiated. Irradiation bumps it up. I just showed you atomically. That's what I would think would happen. All right, we got a couple of options here. I'm going to try this one here first, and we're just going to go right over the top of that. And we're driving over it, and we hit it hard. Well, we got a little bit of a fracture there, but not much. I might have to take the big boy over here. I got even a bigger one, but let's see what we got now. Hold on. Okay, that's what the rover did when it crashed through. Now, here we are up at my crash site. That right there, well, it could be, because I only punched it right here and then I just sprayed the water on. Now let me dry it up a little bit and see if we can see a distinct color difference. Which we can. And boy, I'll tell you, that looks like that could very well be sulfur. All right, we can see that distinct color difference. Now, let me come right down on it and see what we see. That's the point of impact area right here. Let me let that dry up for a minute. We could have something over here. I don't see why it would change to sulfur. I gotta be honest with you. Phosphorus is a very stable. You see that? I think those are alveoli. Like they look like actually clamshells. They have all these little ridges in them, and I have some here. Somebody sent me, and they look just like clamshells. And you can see the red, the black, and the yellow as it absorbs the oxygen. Absolutely amazing. That's it. Anyway, let's let this dry up and see if it looks more like sulfur-ish. I'm trying to think of how I could test for sulfur. Well, I got to be honest with you. I don't see any possibility, to be perfectly honest with you, that there's any sulfur in there. But maybe. The only way you really test for that, they say, is the best way is to scratch it and sniff it. If it smells like rotten eggs, you've got sulfur. Well, this is really not practical in this case, but let me turn the lights down. We might have some sulfur there. I just don't know. Let me just barely get some lights on. There's no question in my mind, 100% certainty as far as I'm concerned, is biological. Well, there's nobody who can deny that. And I know you can get the DNA and all kinds of things out of this. This is 100% biology. Now, is down deep inside there, is there some sulfur? It might be, but I don't think you're going to find crystal sulfur. What they found was a pure form of sulfur right below the surface of that perfectly white surface. It was irradiated basically and crystallized into pure sulfur. As far as I can, that's the only way I can account for that. All right, this is the same spot again. I gave it another really hard crack with the other chisel in this area. You're not going to see any sulfur there. I didn't expect you would. But I can tell you one thing, absolute certainty. This is a very dense phospholipid layer. Now, would it transition down to sulfur? No, not in the case where it's in the environment mine was in. In the case where it was on Mars and exposed and irradiated, yes, then I would expect it to transition up from the irradiation. But you can see this is pretty serious biology. But I don't see any sulfur. Nothing I can see that I would identify as sulfur, let me put it that way. There's some strange things going on down in there, but once you're inside the cavity of the creature, well, things change. Once you go past the membrane, a lot of things are different. You know, I like to watch things as they're drying out. So, oops, didn't mean to do that. This is the specimen right here, the lung. All right, again, here's my finger. This is the size what we're looking at here now. This is where I smashed it. And I moistened it and looked at it all, and you know, I really couldn't see anything, as I think I've shown you before. However, I know this is the lung, and as it's drying, I'm seeing this orange looking stuff. Now, orange I do associate to sulfur, and I got to be honest with you, I don't remember why, but I did look up to see if sulfur appears brown, and they say yes it does when it's mixed with other minerals, which is the case here. Now, is this any sulfur in here? I don't know. I can't do any chemistry on this, but it could just be blood, because I mean it is a lung. So lungs tend to have a lot of blood in them, but I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Who knows? But it does say that that's the case. If there's other minerals mixed in, it will look brown. And again, it hasn't been irradiated. So like over here, you see this? This is the stuff you see up on the Mars stuff. On the surface is that kind of stuff. Now broken through, we get into this kind of stuff. To me, I would have said that's just blood, and that's I got a feeling that's the case, but I can't discount that. Okay, don't forget now, the one up on Mars, that's crystal sulfur. That's really good sulfur. It says, however, sulfur can appear brown in rocks, although its typical color, if it was like pure, is bright yellow. Depending on impurities and the lighting conditions, sulfur can appear brownish or even orange, especially when found in massive forms or with other minerals mixed in. We have it with other minerals mixed in. Now, I want to show you something on my giant fingertip, where I believe there was sulfur, and I got to be honest with you, I can't remember why I thought that was sulfur, but I'll show it to you, and I still think it is. All right, this is the fingertip from the big. I have the hand, I have knuckles, I have everything. This was CAT scan, DNA tested, and this is, and that's where the tendon locks in right there. You see that double little latch there? And this is the bottom of the fingertip. Now, I broke this piece off, and we can see the bone. I'll show you that in a second. But this right here, this orange looking color, I always associated that to sulfur, and I got to be honest with you, I don't remember why. I just don't remember why. But I did always associate that to sulfur. Now, it has that same looking orange looking color to it. For some reason I associated it to sulfur, but when sulfur is normally bright yellow, in mud fossils the mud interaction turns it orange-ish. That's, I think, as I'm recalling, I'm trying to remember why I thought that. But see, there's another spot. See, I think that's like orange-ish as well, where tendons lock in. And that one there is a major one. All right, and that was the piece of bone, the tissue that surrounded the bone. So this is the bone, you see? That round area right there, that's the bone. And this is where, well, you know what, hold on, I better show you. Okay, I've been showing this pretty regular lately. This was the CAT scan, a 2D CAT scan of this fingertip. You see that gouge right there? That's the same gouge as this. This is the same fingertip. You see that hole right there? That's that same hole. You see this here? That's this right here. All right, now, what you don't see is the fingernail. But in the 2D, you can. All right, you see that fingernail bed right there? This is a fingertip, and it's from a right hand thumb of a human being, and it's DNA tested, and as you can see, CAT scanned. Now, here's what we got. There it is right there. Now, looking at here, it just looks like a lump of rock. Now, let me show you what it does look like in the 2D CAT scan. That's the beauty of the 2D. Here it is right here. Now, wait a minute. This is a 3D. Hold on. Okay, that's better. Now, what I'm going to do is show you the difference between a 2D and a 3D. We're looking at the back of this fingertip right here, which is this fingertip. Now, I broke this piece off here, which was attached there, and as you can see on here and over here, just look at it, take your time and look at it. Look at this structure. There's a main core, and then there's a blood vessel. All right, and then there's some coloration around it, which is the color of the blood. In this case, it's either red or black, one or the other. Now, and usually the red runs out, so you don't see it real pronounced as you see black. Now, this is the exact same structure as this, because you've got a tendons that let you do all kinds of things with your fingers. That and that are the same. Again, take your time. Look at it carefully. And you see this one here also has a blood vessel right underneath, just as this one does. Different colors, that indicates different blood, and that's exactly what happens in your fingers. One side goes up the artery, it comes back to vein. Now, what about this? What's going on there? That's the bone. And it's not in the middle because it's a thumb. And it's from a right hand. If you take your thumb like this, you see this side, the bone is right there. This side, you got a big chunk hanging over the edge. You see it? That's this chunk here. And it's from a right hand because the chunk is over to this side. And it's human because it's been DNA tested. And obviously that's a CAT scan. Now, that's the bone. Now I'm going to show you the 3D. Because in the 2D, it's just, you can't miss it. The tendons, nobody denies it. I've shown this to anatomists, autopsy people, doctors. Nobody denies any of this. Nobody can. You can't. No, stay credible. So they just decline to really get involved. So anyway, that's the bottom of the bone. Now, what will we see with the 3D? The 3D, because this is 2D. That means a surface scan. And they scan it from every different angle, and then they composite it, and then it highlights everything really, really well, so you can see all of the things that you just don't see them. You're never going to see that. But with the 2D, it's very obvious. All right, here's where you really need Mudfossil eyes, and you have to understand anatomy very well. As I said, this is a thumb. The bone is over here. It's not right in the middle, which you normally would expect to, and if it was a normal finger, it would be in the middle. So what are we looking at here? The first one is this one here. We're sort of at the end. We're at the end. And we can see the bone pretty well. And the reason you can see it is the membrane. The membrane is basically the only thing that shows up on the 3D. 3D is, because this is a nucleophilic invasion and substitution. That means whatever this was in, it now becomes the same as what it was in, primarily. Membranes cause them to come out separated. The membrane is the key, and that's a membrane. And that's why this broke right off at the membrane. I didn't say break off here at the membrane. It fuses where the membrane attached it to the bone. You see the bone? It's exactly where the bone is. And you can see the bone in here in the microscope. It has the bonish, bubbly pattern. And so anyway, that's where the bone is. And this is the part that broke off. All right, now, and that's all you see. If you go deeper into the bone, you really can't see anything. All you can really now see is this a good shot at the blood vessels, which run up the side of the fingertip. This is just what they do. But the rest is not really of any real value as to see anything other than it's just, you don't get any value of that at all. That's the only one you really can see that makes a big difference. This, you know, the blood vessels, that's nice, but it's not like the 2D. The 2D, this is very, very illustrative. You can see virtually every little detail. And this was done by Jesse Grant and Associates. They're in Canada and the United States, the nicest people you will ever meet in the whole entire world. They did 7 CAT scans for me, 0 charge. All I had to do was ship it up and ship it back. And they did everything for free, and they did a fabulous job, and nice people to work with. Jesse Grant and Associates, and Fabio was the guy I worked with up there. Unbelievable. And I will be deeply in their debt forever. All right, thank you guys. Okay, so I started off claiming there was biology on Mars, and I said, no question there is. This is an artery and a vein. This is muscle sarcomeres, which is the muscle blocks. And that right there is the blow-up of this artery and vein. Now, this is from 2015. They showed this, and there was a big hullabaloo about it. Wow, the Mars crab. And then they all laughed, and they said people that are talking about that are just crazy people. And they just left it. These breaks, and I knew exactly what it was, and I reported to them. I said, that is biology. That's an artery. That's a vein. These are muscles. I reported this to JPL, NASA, Yale, literally everybody. And here's the rest of the stuff that's up on there. Here's more sarcomeres. You see these? This dust, this real fine red dust means there's no water there. That's why I know 100% this is Mars. All these conspiracy people, they never went to Mars. Well, this is Mars. They went there. This is sarcomeres. They're saying over millions of years these formed. All these little lines. They think it's layer after layer after layer. It's not. It's muscle, and this is just dried out, ionized red blood that's run out of there. Now here's what they look like biologically. That's in a heart. That's in a human heart that's failed. That's a ripped human heart. I get most of my shots from, autopsy stuff. And these are sarcomeres. They have layers on the top and the bottom, the phospholipid membrane, and then the sarcomeres right there. And here's what they look like in a rock. This is a rock. That's the skin up at the top of the rock, that really white stuff. And then you got the little layer underneath the skin, and then you come down to the muscle. There it is right there, sarcomeres. The red blood, there's a ton of red blood in muscles. Wherever there's muscles, there's a lot of red blood. Now, if this was facing downhill, let's say this was on a shift like this, and there was an outlet at the bottom, and that red blood could run out of there, you'd have huge pockets in here. Because the red blood runs. Red blood is free running. If there's water, out it goes. And it leaves these huge cavities and caverns and caves and all that. That's most of the time where there was a lot of red blood. Tons of arteries. Because things are just much bigger than you ever possibly imagined. And I'll show you right now why I can say that. This red blood ran out from muscle sarcomeres in Turkey. And there was an olive grove like this. The trees were growing very nicely, and all of these sarcomeres were here. But there must have been some big, heavy-duty caves underneath where the red blood ran out, and then it just dropped. The whole valley dropped at once. It was no earthquake. And here it is right here. There is the sarcomeres. You see it, the layers of them? Here they are right there. These are the sarcomeres, and here's where some red blood came in. It fractures easy where the red blood is. The red blood's weak. It has no, it's not heavy duty at all. You see it? There's red blood coming in there. And then way down in the bottom somewhere, I had a better shot somewhere. See, it's just falling apart where the red blood is. Way at the bottom, there was a big heavy layer I could see. There was some red blood I could see at the bottom. But it must have ran out. All that's ran down. Now, somebody else mentioned they might have been putting caves up under there. I don't know. Who knows? But sarcomeres are inherently not strong. They are blocky, and they will shift and drop if you put a cave under there, a big heavy duty, or it just ran out, they're going to drop. It's just the nature of the beast. See them? They're separated. They're going to click and drop. The nature of sarcomeres is they will drop. And here they are. This is that's what they look like. These erode. The whole valley floor went. Gigantic, monumental disaster. And that's in Turkey. Now, here's another thing that's just not understood. They think it takes millions of years. You see what I say? Millions of years to do this. No. That was a couple of hours or whatever it was happened when Venus actually hit Mars and caused Mars to be just destroyed. It was the Mars Mariana Virus Trench. I can't remember how you pronounce it, but it's wider than the United States. Huge, just gigantic gouge all the way across the whole planet. And that's what was written in the ancient texts. Venus hit Mars. Prior to that, it almost hit Earth and caused our great flood. And all the mud fossils these are all been boiled, and then all the flesh came out, and the membranes protected. I wrote the paper called Fascia Facilitated Fossilization, where it was fascia, skin, the coating of membranes. That's what preserved these things. So anyway, where am I? Let me gather my thoughts. I think I've pretty much shown you as much as I need to. This is rock. That's skin. You see any difference? I don't. I don't see any difference at all. And so is that rock. That's a little one. This is a big one. Same stuff. We live on biology, my friends, and biology is in space. It is everywhere. See, here's another bit of nonsense. Millions of years in one picture. No, that's another, like a weekend. The thing died, and all of this has eroded here, which was muscle, and all of this was bone. And I know that for a fact because of this pin right here attaches to bone. And that is the center of the tendon, which the tendon has to go do this and that. So it has to give a little bit of this. That's why it's all layered like that. That's the heavy-duty core. And then the muscle will move this up and down. So it has to do this, but it has to pivot on something. That's the pivotal point. And I have one of these in my shop. Not quite that big. What I just showed you is this piece right here. Right to here. These are all the straps, as you saw. And then this is the center one with the big round pin here. It comes out to here. This is eroded completely away because this is muscle. It's weak compared to the tendon. The tendon's brown, has almost no muscle, no fleshy stuff to it. It's just tough, like a real heavy-duty rubber band. This is all blood that services the muscle. This will not erode away. The muscle will erode. The bone will erode. And what bone? Well, here's the bone right here. All right, so what are we looking at? That's the tendon here to here. This is what's sticking up in the ocean. Just this. The bone erodes away because in this particular condition, it boiled and the salty silicates, the bones just, if they were inside of flesh, they were okay. But if they were outside of flesh, they went away. And the same thing with muscle. Muscle would just erode away in the ocean. So you end up with this right here, with that round ball and all of those straps. So remember this, we're going to see from here up, and this would have been gone, and that is gone. And here it is right here. There's that ball, round part, gone, gone. Gone, 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 long gone. You want to see something cool? What do you think about that? Leave comments on what you think those are. Alright, let's take a quick look, close head. This is what the thing looks like. Look at this little squiggly stuff and this little lines going around it. What's that all about? What's going on there? I'm going to leave it at that, my good, wonderful, outstanding friends. Time for some reality, even though it is a shocker. I would rather live in reality than just be perfectly happy, deluded. Now, I did have somebody come down on me today, say, "Oh, you're trying to ruin everything, and everybody's happy just doing what they're doing. You're trying to make..." You know, I mean, coming after me like I'm trying to interfere with everybody's life. I'm just trying to point out the things that are real. But I do understand it's an intrusive reality, and it's and it might affect some people in positive or negative ways. For me, it's been positive because I want reality, and I'm looking, you know, I'm looking right down the road for eternity pretty soon for me. So I hopefully want to be able to understand that. Because this is the stuff I'm showing. This is not today's stuff. This is stuff about history, about the ancient past, and about Mars, life on Mars, the Mars blueberries, the Mars Morse code, the Mars crab. All of this Mars business they're showing now, it shows it's real, and they were just gigantic creatures just like they're here on Earth. No difference. Only Mars was slated for destruction. Because Venus, as far as I'm concerned, was sent out to wipe out the giants on Earth and to destroy Mars. And it accomplished both of those things. And now is out in space. Now, I don't know if it's going to stay the way it's staying. I don't know what's going on anymore, really. Velikovsky recorded all this stuff, and he said this is stuff that is, it's otherworldly stuff. And yes, there's no question that's true. And there's no question that the things he was talking about are true. So, I want to confront that. You do what you want. All right, I love you all. Goodbye. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick, but I'm going to show you a whole series of different styles of stone balls. Always confused me, because I always thought there was just one style, but no, there's a ton of them. Well, I knew there was different styles, but I couldn't account for it. Now I finally understand it. But like this one here, this guy's, they're all over the place, these gigantic stone balls. They are everywhere. Now, here's one style that has like shell after shell after shell, like the Russian dolls. But this would have had, see how that little round, this had a cord coming out of it. Now I think this was from a ponerosis tendon. And what do we got next here? These are just stone balls, stone balls, stone balls, stone balls, stone balls. These are the ones that fracture, you see? And that fracture because of the hematite and the magnetite iron. The magnetite expands and it fractures and pushes the hematite away. It's basically a magnetic interaction. Where the heck was I? Hold on one second. All right, here's some more of these ones with they're smaller, the same fractures. Then you get this kind of thing. I don't know what's going on there. I think that was near copper or something. But it's another one of these coated ones, but it's got a lot of copper in the coating. And then inside is a whole nother type of material. Then you got this style here, which has a core. And then this real scruffy stuff on the outside, I think it's like chert or flint. But it has a core, an open entry core, which is a little different. And then you got these kind that are on stalks. And then this giant one. This is in the Valley of the Planets. And they got some strange stuff going on. This, I think this is fairly well real. I don't know if it is what it looks like it is, but it could be what it looks like it is, because there's a lot of things that are what we never thought they were, but they are. Now, what do we got next here? This was, I think that's a giant eye from something. You see all those tiny little layers? That's, I don't think it's a tendon ball. We are living in a thing that nobody understood. Look, Putin. Give me a call, Vlad. I can help you out with that, buddy. All right, hold on. Where are we going? Stop bombing Ukraine. These are those big, whole bunch of balls in the guy's yard. Somebody said they wish they had grown up as a little kid and playing in there. You could have a blast chasing each other around those. These are big. Yeah, that's a car, a truck or something. That's a house. They're everywhere. They're just everywhere. Some of them are really odd. These look like, I don't know what they look like. I don't know. Oh, they look like seeds or something. I really don't know about those at all. No idea. And then again, this is right near that where I said the kids would love to play in here. Those are pretty good size. And there's a lot of iron in these. Hematite and magnetite, which forces them to fracture along that line there. Look at this one. Remember I showed you one that was hollow in the center? Look at the size of that thing. It's like full of sand or something. And I think they're all coming down this way. And there's another layer underneath them, you see it? Our world is much different than you thought. That's limestone growing on different types of tissues. You see how it selects where it wants to grow and not, you know what I mean? Biology is just stunning. There's some kids playing in one of these balls. They're all over the place. And some of them have these little segments inside them, you see? They're blocks inside of the balls. That's what I say. It confused the heck out of me because there's so many different styles. Here's Sam Oswegowicz. That right there was where the strap attached. It's pulled off. And he was one of the first ones to be talking about these. Nobody would talk about any of this stuff. There was him and me and Michael Tellinger started talking about this kind of early too. But nobody, everybody was scared to talk about it because, you lose your job, really, if you have a job. I'm serious. I'm not kidding you. People just hated it. Look at this. This kind of here is, to me, this is like a movable one, or it could have been one just like we saw before. They had those different colored jobbers inside of it, all of the yellow looking stuff. I don't know, but I would say that right there is where the stalk came in, and this webbing is it's the fabric that holds it together. This came in from my friend Lee Simpson. This one here is completely eroded away and has all those pockets. It's not too big, it's kind of small. I mean, I got so much stuff I go on for days. These are stone balls in the walls. Lovely Lavender sent me this. This is the exact same architecture as Iapetus, which is a moon. And they have they're all over. And you see this stuff? This is not just dirt. That is from flesh. This thing was in flesh. You see the red and the black? That was feeding this thing, the blood. Whoops, I keep doing that. Yep, hold on. Okay, sorry about that, but you see the red and the black right above it? You see those two spots? That's the blood. That's the blood right in this area. Whether it was feeding that ball or not, I don't know, but it's damn sure blood. You know, I'm just going to leave it at this here. This one here is, again, if you look up the moon Iapetus, it has a ring around it just like this. Now this one here is, this shows you the center of the ball of milky marbles. This is the outside, is this really black looking coating of it almost looks like metal. And then there's a core. This is just a totally different material. And then you get them here with this, and this, and the milky marbles are everywhere, stone balls, gigantic stone balls. This is what they look like with the strap attached, and they break off. And then you see them with the vein and the artery right in this area, and the scale is missing off the ball, and they have all these little gnarly looking things all around them. That's it for today, my good friends. I think I made my case that Mars is saturated with life. And it's time to take this serious. Those are muscle sarcomeres. They say continually over millions of years. No, not correct. And this is the Mars crab. Not just a big joke, and people that see this are silly people. These are sarcomeres. This is powderized blood, artery, vein. Not one single medical person has argued with me about when I show all this. And I've had a lot of them say, I thought you must be insane when you started. Now I am 100% believer. Not only that, I've had them tell me, you changed my whole attitude about life. In a lot of ways I've heard this, but it's always been in a positive way. Of course, it's a journey that's going to be not easy. Just confronting this stuff is not easy, and then confronting the people that are around you that don't care. They're going to treat you like you're an idiot. That's hard, but I'm going to tell you what, it's worth it in the long run as far as I'm concerned. But you can do anything you want. You can be perfectly happy, deluded, right along with the rest of them. That's up to you. That's what free will is all about, my friends. But once you are informed, then it's up to you to make the right decision. When you're not informed, you don't know what's going on. You have no idea. You're perfectly happy, deluded. You're being told what to think and what to do and how to act and what to, how to treat other people, and everything is about making money, and it's all about you, and I mean, there's a lot of good people too. I always go down that route of everything's bad. No, it's not. Everything's not bad. There's a lot of good people, but they see that they're not getting a piece of the pie. Everybody should have some of the pie. You don't have to have 2 or 3 or 500 pies for yourself. You know, and there is a lot of good people that have all those pies and they give it back out again. That's nice. That's wonderful. Because you're going to have people that are stand-up people that do the business. Running a business is not easy. I did my own business. And it's you know, it's a lot of work. But, you know, if you do it right and you work hard at it, the payoffs are normally pretty good. Depends on what you get into and then how whatever happens. You get a restaurant going, you get COVID, you're done. You know, all kinds of different things can happen to you. But you just got to continue somehow to get by. And right now, things are not easy. And a lot of that is to do to the fact that governments, the academics, all that stuff, it's just a lot of waste of money. A lot of waste of money and a lot of denial of the things that are true and real. And it's not just in the Mudfossil realm, it's in the light realm and every single thing. As long as I can start to make my case, I got cases I could go on forever. Forever. So hopefully we can make America think again a little bit, because I'm telling you right now, they have lost the ability to think. Everything, and it's, I think most of them are scared to speak because you're going to inevitably encounter, you know, people that are going to be a little nasty about this. They just cannot handle this. Can't handle it. All right, I love you all. Start talking. Just spread the word. You're going to be the one that's going to come out on top on the end. You can't be denied. It's just, there's no denial of this. There's only dismissal. There's only dismissal. No, don't talk to me. So anyway, I love you all. Take care. Bye.